That's usually the restrictions that get the people. Like they start to realize, wow, wait a minute, we don't have to do double work because sometimes in an on-site world, there's double work. Or if we're doing things kind of half remote, they're doing it and then they're sending it to us and we're redoing it. So when we point out those doubles and how they're wasting their time and they're paying us for our time, it's pretty fast that they make a decision that they want to go to something that works better and things are more available to them when they want them available. So it's not usually a hard sell.
You're listening to The Successful Bookkeeper with your host, Michael Palmer. Listen each week as inspiring guests share their secrets of success to help you increase your confidence, work smarter, and build a business you love. This episode of The Successful Bookkeeper is brought to you by PureBookkeeping.com, the proven system to grow your bookkeeping business.
Welcome back to the Successful Bookkeeper Podcast. I'm your host, Michael Palmer, and today's show is going to be a good one. Our guest is the president of Target Accounting. She has 20 years of accounting, financial, and business management experience in the public sector and in the service, retail, investment, insurance, and various other industries. Dianna Thorne, welcome to the show.
Oh, thank you very much.
It's great to have you, and I'm looking forward to just having a conversation about your journey as a person in this industry who's probably seen a lot of change throughout your career. And before we get into all of that, please tell us a little bit about your career path leading up until now.
Oh, okay. I am a CPA, CA, so I did my articling as a chartered accountant and did what everybody would expect, went and slugged it out in the accounting firms, put in my grunt time, did all kinds of tax seasons and overtime, and not looking back to that time, that was another era. I decided I didn't want to stay in that arena. I wanted to go out into industry. So I was married and found a job in industry, had my 2.4 children, and said, oh, I can't do this commuting anymore. It's killing me. So I decided I would fork out on my own, and I have not looked back. And I know exactly how long ago it was. It was almost 19 years ago because my youngest is 19 years. So started out on my own for the first, about 8 years, and then realized, if you're going to do more than one person, you have to have more than one person. So I have had staff ever since, and currently we have about 25 staff members made up of employees and subcontractors, and they are across the country. We're not just in one locale. And my furthest away staff member is in Spain, like the country Spain. He used to live in Thorne, Ontario, and he's got roots in the UK, and he said, I want to golf all year. So he moved out there, and he works remotely, which is what all my staff pretty much do now. So we've gone from a time where we went on-site pretty much to every client, and if we weren't on-site, we were doing it in my home office, which has 7 workstations, so it's kind of a big home office. And now we pretty much are all virtual across the country and across the world.
Amazing. So when you started getting into virtual, what was that like for your organization?
Well, I think we kind of inched into it in that people said, there's not enough space at your office, Dianna. How can we do this? And I have a very nice techie husband who is also an accountant. And he said, okay, let's set this up so people can remote access. So that first virtual was actually in remote access mode. And everybody was coming into my server, but sitting in their own home office. So that was, that's like 12 years ago that we were doing that. And then as things have evolved, the apps out there have evolved. We said, hey, we could do this even better and bigger. And now we hardly have any files on our server, and we rarely work off the server. We work now all in the cloud and using all cloud apps. But we haven't given up on the people who still want on-site and, are traditional. We still do that work as well. But when we can, and we're just going through round 2 of our clients, we are moving people to the cloud and showing them what the advantages can be, and they're many, many-fold on what the advantages can be.
And do you get any pushback from your clients?
We tend to only approach the clients we know are moving in different directions. Now, some might be very traditional, and we point out this is what the world has changed to. Do you want to move to a different system and a different way of working? And we feel them out. I mean, if they're dead set against it, no, we don't push them. They say, no, we can still stay the way we are, but they need to understand the restrictions. And that's usually the restrictions that get the people. Like, they start to realize, wow, wait a minute, we don't have to do double work, because sometimes in an on-site world, there's double work. Or if we're doing things kind of half remote, they're doing it, and then they're sending it to us, and we're redoing it. So when we point out those doubles and how they're wasting their time and they're paying us for our time, it's pretty fast that they make a decision that they want to go to something that works better and things are more available to them when they want them available. So it's not usually a hard sell.
Yeah, absolutely. It's great to hear. I mean, lots has changed in just a few short years. People are embracing things in ways that they never have. Now, with your team working remotely, what challenges? I mean, technology is great. Lots of great things are happening. It's all, in many ways, awesome. What are some of the constraints that you see that it's putting on your business?
Well, we had to come up with a new way to deal with workflow. So we had been using one method, and it was a hybrid. It was a put it together and Excel spreadsheets, and it wasn't great. So now out there again, in the recent years, there's a lot of different workflow type programs to assist us. So we went through that and picked one and said, okay, what's it got that, we really need, and what can we maybe live without or make a workaround? What's going to meet the most needs? So we found one, and we've gone that whole route of workflows change. They change because rules change out there. Accounting rules change, CRA rules change, things change. And we think of something new. We go, wait a minute, right, we should be doing that one more step, that one more thing. So because it's not static, the workflow, it's changing all the time. We needed something that could change all the time with us. So that's one area where we said, okay, the old way of doing things on a checklist on an Excel spreadsheet isn't going to work. And we couldn't see what they were doing, especially when they were kind of on site at a client. They had it with them. It wasn't on our server because we could only have so many people on our server at once. So there was all these other restrictions. So we said, okay, we need to find something that's browser-friendly app that will work for our workflow. So that was one of the big things that we did so that we could embrace and find out what everybody was doing and when they were doing it and where they were with their work, which has really helped.
Yeah, it is remarkable, and it's amazing the difference that it makes. What was the software that you chose?
Oh, we chose Arrow, which works with QBO, because we had moved our own personal books from QBD Desktop over to the QBO, the online version. So we use Arrow, and it also works with T-Sheets, which of course is owned by Intuit as well. So integrated with a lot of the other apps that we were wanting to use. Very cool.
Very cool. Well, it's exciting and yeah, definitely brings the team together. So that was a constraint. Do you see any other constraints in the virtual world that you're living in?
Well, we were also having this issue on how do you do this? Everybody was always either phoning me or emailing me and going, Dianna, how do I do this? I know you've probably done it before, or how would you like me to do it? Or, they didn't want to recreate the wheel, and we don't want them to recreate the wheel. So the biggest thing we've had is how do we do collaboration type work? So one would be getting that knowledge of how to do something out of me or out of somebody else on our team. So with our workflow program, Arrow, it actually has the ability where we can put in links to somewhere. So we use the whole Microsoft suite. So we use SharePoint for all our data file management now. And so we write up how-tos with screen prints, everything. They might be even little videos that we've taken, and we put it in a resource place in SharePoint. And then in the workflow program, there's a help link. So they can go right to that, and they can get the information, which that was to me, it was not just the restriction from when we had been, people are sitting around in the same room with you. It was also that we have so many more people now. So there's only one of me. And to share that knowledge, one, I don't want to repeat it. And two, how do I keep sharing it with people? So, and it doesn't have to be just me. So this way other people can put the how-tos and the sharing in there as well. So that's given us an awesome way to get what's in our minds out and available to everybody.
Wonderful. Technology is doing us a great service. It's amazing the ability to capture information with products like Loom and all sorts of other ones that have come up, and to be able to do video sharing literally on the fly.
Well, and if something changes, you change it, and it's there for the next time somebody goes there. But I didn't even have to tell them, right? If it's something massively, sure, we'll give out a notice. But if we realize there's an error in something, you can change it, and people have it instantaneous.
Yeah, it's remarkable. So those are some constraints around just the working of technology and working in a virtual setting. What about your business? You've got that many employees. What's that been like?
Well, we've actually been up higher than the number we're at now. We've actually kind of pulled it back so that we've got more people doing more time with us. And so I don't know, it's been a journey of over a decade in getting there. I think the biggest thing was that we realized we had to be hiring 365 days a year. We always have to be looking for the next best bookkeeper or consultant or staff member out there. So that's been a learning item, and we've put a whole process around that. But I never like to create the wheel once. So I took that process, and we now offer it as a service to clients if they outgrow us as a subcontract, or if it's the only thing they need is to hire. I just talked to someone today who needs to hire a full-time accounting person, and they're not maybe liking the traditional ways of going to a headhunter, et cetera. So I took the exact same methodology and said, okay, now I have a new service to offer out there to accountants and their clients and my own current clients. So that's how I work. If I have to figure something out, I want to sell it afterwards. Like, I put so much time and energy in it, right? Oh, one thing is we realized everybody was really working on their own. They weren't getting that community. So that's a big problem when you move from, if you're, you go see people and they're in an office or something, and we've never overly had that. Everybody's worked on their own. So what we've implemented is we have monthly meetings, and they are virtual, and we put it at a time that most people are off work. It's in the evening for about an hour and a half, and we not only as management give information, we also do a lot of what we call sharing, and throughout the month, people let us know things that they've come up with, or we'll get an email and we'll say, hey, that needs to be shared and explained to everybody. Some of it is just talking and some of it's visual, so we actually do a meeting where everybody can see what's going on, screens are being showed, and so we flip it to the next person all the time. So everybody gets a chance to do some presenting in front of everybody. It's just 5 minutes or what have you, but and they get to ask questions of each other. So we get that community type thing that you would get in a normal traditional office setting, but we get it kind of once a month in those meetings. So that's kind of been different. I can't think of anything else that's really comes to mind. I guess because I've been doing it for so long, sometimes it's second nature to you.
How have you seen in your way, the way that a lot of people talk about this hiring, right? So you're hiring folks. The industry has changed. You've been doing this for 20 years. The IPBC, the Institute of Professional Bookkeepers in Canada, is about 7-8 years old. I guess it's maybe closer to 10 years old. Have you seen a change in the way bookkeepers think and behave in the marketplace?
Oh, absolutely, because social media has become such a big aspect, right? We can get information out to people, and then we can ask information. So the different communities in the Facebook communities that are out there now that are bookkeeper groups, you can put out questions and instantaneously you can get responses. And you can find out, especially with all the apps out there, it is really hard for any one person or a company even such as ours that have lots of staff, and we can put a few different resources on. Here, go find out about an app that, say, looks after inventory and another one that does something else. And you can get information, but if you've never used it and you don't know the pitfalls, it's amazing to be able to go out and just say, hey, I'm thinking about this app for a client. Have you used it? What are some things to know up front? Because you won't get that when you go to that app's website, and if you read reviews on there, you don't get a lot of that. So you want that instantaneous info because you're going to have to deal with it within the next week. So I love that things are now instantaneous and that we can either put things out there to ask questions, or we can give, hey, we know this is news. This is news you all should know. And people get to really know each other. Maybe we've never met, but sometimes we do. We get to meet at IPBC conferences or QBO Connect, and you go, hey, I know your picture off of the social media. So that's kind of nice to be able to do that. That's the one thing. Oh, and I would have to say bookkeepers have become much more verbal. We're much, there's so many people out there now doing presentations or YouTubes and getting out there. Bookkeepers were always thought to be mousy people in front of computers and just putting their head down and getting through the pile on their desk. That is not what any of us are like. So I think that's been a big, huge change out there. I think it's been an awesome change that we can do what's called niche marketing and doing niche clients. So you get a specific industry and you can really sink your teeth into it and work on it. Now, maybe they're regionally close to you, but because things are very virtual these days, it could be that it's across the country. It could be that it's even outside of the country. So I love that aspect. So then somebody can get really good at one type of work, one app, one whatever, and then they can go out there and market and get those clients without leaving their office. To me, that's just amazing.
Yeah, on that note, I mean, you have many clients and you have many people working for you. How do you tackle different industries? Do you focus on a few? What's that look like in your business?
We've tried a few times to kind of do some niche type work. It tends to be quite difficult. A lot of the associations, because a good way to get to a group is through associations. So a lot of the associations, you get two sides of them. You either get one that doesn't really have support companies. They don't have a way of pushing out the information to their members. And then you have the other group that's going to nickel and dime you on everything and charge you exorbitant membership fees just to have your name associated so people can find you. So you get one extreme or the other, which can be difficult. I find that even if they offer trade shows and things, people come and talk to you, but it's never the right time for them. So the whole issue is finding the exact moment when it's the right time for a potential prospect to actually say, yes, I need to use your services. That's the hardest thing. So again, with some of the social media, the LinkedIn, et cetera, that you can put out there gives you a little bit of advantage on that. We've dabbled in it, but I will say I don't feel we were successful in doing it. And my one comment is accounting is accounting. If you know all the rules, it really doesn't matter the industry. If you can get your teeth into something and make a niche market for yourself, the one nice thing is you can set up some efficiencies where you always have the same chart of accounts. You always have the same group of apps you're going to use. You kind of have this whole, kickstart to how you can deal with a client, but rather difficult to get that group. People are, I would have to say, with all the social media, all the virtualness and that, we all seem to be working more, and we all get pulled in so many areas that, which thing are you gonna deal with? What are you gonna see and read and act upon? We are bombarded so much. So, and we all now have rules. You can't just send out email blasts, et cetera. So, kind of difficult. But if you can, it makes sense because of the efficiencies. I will say we've got, some industries where we've got multiples in the same industry, and of course we learn from that because of the size of the amount of clients we have. But I can't say really at this point we have anything that's a true what I would consider niche. Even we've done a lot with franchises and trying to assist them with their franchisees. Tough market to get into. And of course, every franchise is a different industry, right? It could be restaurants, it could be medical clinics, it could be graphic designers, it could be whatever. Every franchise is, again, a different industry. So if you can get one, it's fantastic, but it's to get one and then be able to build on whatever you're putting in place as your basic of what you're going to do and then replicate it.
What was
so I'm going to say no. We're kind of just all over.
Yeah. What was your challenge with the franchises in terms of breaking into that? Did you notice anything particular?
Well, a lot of the franchisors think really they need to just focus on the marketing and the sales side. They are slightly coming around to, okay, we need to kind of give some support on the accounting side, but they're not there yet. We've tried for about 6 years, and you can see it every year. I mean, they're like, yeah, we need to get to that. That's what you hear. We need to get to that, but they never get to it. Before, they really felt they couldn't dictate with their franchises, what platform to use. And that's not true. I've asked some of the franchise lawyers and they said, sure, you can put that in. There's no reason why they can't put that in. If you, from the get-go, say, this is what we want and why, so that we can all be on the same and we can all help each other. A lot of times, most franchisees are new and they would love to have that already set up, kickstart set up, let's go, someone that's going to train them, someone that's going to assist on the parts they don't want to do and don't have time to do, etc. But the franchisors are very hesitant in getting into that. Some have, but a lot of them have not. They just have too many other things pulling at them. And so the accounting is always the thing that's not making anybody money. So it's always on the back burner.
It's interesting and not uncommon in other small businesses where, it takes sometimes something dramatic to happen to educate them around the importance of it. And so, it's, on this similar conversation around marketing, when you were getting started, I mean, things have probably changed because of the size of your business, the way the market works. But what was your strategy around sourcing clients for your business?
Oh, that was easy. Because I'm a CA, I knew that being on that side of the client, that we would get horrific sets of books. And we were always getting asked, do you know a good bookkeeper? So I realized that early on. So I went out and first went to all the accountants that were ones I was already working with the clients I had, also other accounting firms that I knew of, because, of course, being an accountant, I knew tons and tons and tons of accounting people out in the industry and what firm are they at. So I would connect that way. So, I've connected with, I can't even tell you, like 300 to 500 different accounting firms, right? But again, it's like any other touch. You need to touch them how many times? The magic number usually is 7. So out there connecting, and what I do is I would go and have sometimes this phone talk like you and I are having. Other times I would go right to them and do a whole spiel with them on what do we do, why do you need to know us? And the one key thing for us is that accounting firms are always asked, who do you know is a good bookkeeper? And the problem is they'd know one bookkeeper, and the one bookkeeper would get filled up. They'd have a few, and then that accountant would say, I love your work. Could I give you a few more clients? And they would. And then the poor bookkeeper would say, please, don't give me one more. I'm overfull. I can't take on any more. So then the accountant is stuck again. Now who do I give it to? So for us, it was nice because I had bandwidth of so many staff members working for me. So, and that's why I'm always hiring, to increase my bandwidth. So when a accounting firm says, yeah, we need some help for this client, do you have somebody? We usually can say yes. So that all the accountants go, wow, yes, I would like only one place to call instead of tons of different people to see, are you taking on clients? Are you taking on clients? They want to make one call or one email. So to me, that was an easy one for me.
Beautiful. Yeah, it's definitely, and I'll say for the listener, we have a lot of resources in the free resources section in the portal. When you sign up at thesuccessfulbookkeeper.com, you can get access, and there's some instructions around marketing, because I think it's important to leverage these they're not rocket science strategies, but they're strategies that work. And so if you do them and you take a little bit of time to get yourself prepared to actually get out there and like you've done, connect with them, build a relationship, and if necessary, present to them, it it works, and it works really well. And, for you, in terms of your business, I'm really curious. You talked a little bit about some apps that you're using. What do you see as being the apps that every single listener needs to be paying attention to?
Well, they need to, of course, I'm going to say QBO. I'm going to say QBO is the virtual app of choice for our firm. You need to make sure that the apps that clients use are not like in the old days where they'd have, multiple apps doing all different aspects, but nothing talk to each other. So my biggest thing is we're always saying to clients, it's fine if you want to use an app that we don't know about, but it's got to talk to what we're going to use as the core business of this company so that there isn't double work. So the apps that we like to use obviously are going to all connect with QBO. We love, which most people out there do, we love WagePoint. We love using that one for payroll. We like, for electronic payments, we like WayPay. Been very happy with that and waiting for some new features they have coming out. And they're very economical. That's what I like too, because this is the other thing. The more apps you give a client, the more subscription prices. So you have to make sure that they are going to work together and they are economical for what you're getting for the service. You have to definitely have a document management system, whether it's the Receipt Bank or the HubDoc. People tend to be one or the other. We tend to be HubDoc. But I find most places aren't using kind of both. Very few are using both. It's usually one or the other. Because we love the fetching. Because I don't have any clients that can count to 12, so I love that it can fetch. And I will always get 12 bank statements and 12 credit card and 12 of whatever invoices from the different portals we connected to. Because did you know everybody only has 8 fingers and 2 thumbs, so they can only count to 10. I never get 12 of anything. So that's why I love the HubDoc. What's another app that we use? Oh, the backup. So here's another thing. People were very hesitant, and even accounting firms. I have an accounting firm in Ottawa that we have gone and visited like 3 times. Do you think we've had one referral from them? No. Why? Because they're very hesitant about this whole cloud business and how do you get a backup when there's nothing to back up. So now we have at least 3 that I know of, apps out there that deal with backing up. So anybody who has that fear of what if something terrible happens and screws up, how could we go back to a prior version? There's now opportunities. So the one we use is Chronobooks. We like it. Been very happy with it. I kind of like it too because I not only you can see that it's backing up per se, but people who want to see a file somewhere in something they're a little more comfortable with, it will back up to Dropbox and Google Drive. And I think Rewind does that too. Someone just told me recently, I think that app does it. But that's another thing. People need to kind of see that they need to have a sort of touchy-feely thing that they can grasp onto. So I really like that aspect of it as well. Those are kind of our main ones that I can think of that we like to use a lot. We're starting to get into using some of the reporting ones like Fathom. I quite like Fathom when I did my investigation of what I'm looking at, and so we are in the test phases with Fathom and using it for value added, to be able to give value added to our clients.
Beautiful. Yeah, it really is amazing. And just hearing your tech stack, if you will, is the one that I can't speak more highly enough about it is HubDoc. I mean, I got it so long ago, it seems, but I don't know what life would be like without HubDoc. Just for me personally, it's like hitting the easy button every single day, it seems. This has been absolutely fantastic. You've been through so many things in your business. You've grown a remarkable business and a great entrepreneur, helping entrepreneurs now all over the world. On behalf of our listeners, I just want to thank you for coming on the show and so generously sharing your wisdom and what you've been doing in your business that's helped you be successful.
Well, thank you so much. It's been a joy.
Yes, absolutely. And if people were interested in connecting with you, what would be the best way to do that?
Oh, absolutely. Email is best, Dianna, and it's with 2 N's in my name, Dianna @targetedaccounting.com. Beautiful.
Well, again, Dianna, this has been great. Thank you so much for being on the podcast.
Well, I appreciate it. Thanks for the invite.
And with that, we wrap another episode of the Successful Bookkeeper Podcast. To learn more about today's guest and to get access to all sorts of valuable free business building resources, you can go to thesuccessfulbookkeeper.com. Until next time, Goodbye.
You've been listening to The Successful Bookkeeper with Michael Palmer. For more information and to download the resources mentioned in this episode, please visit us at thesuccessfulbookkeeper.com. Thank you for listening.